Today we'll talk about houses of bhavas. We've done a few classes on nakshatras till now. We have covered the significations of sun. We've covered all the 27 nakshatras. Then we have covered the significations of sun. I wanted to cover this houses or bhava significations because very often we will use these things. So if we are clear about these significations, it will be more useful. These significations are also useful in giving remedies for people. One is that you will have objects with respect to houses. We have not covered the Rashis as of now. We will do a bit of a class of Rashis also once we are covering through the planets. So once we have done the sun, now we are doing houses. Maybe after Moon or Mars, I will make a small class on Rashis also to talk about the brief significations of Rashis, not Rashis in detail, because we have covered in detail all the nakshatras. So I would believe just a brief understanding of what each Rashis are doing, that will be enough. So let's take up the significations of the houses. The first 6 houses I am planning to cover today because that is what is possible. And the rest of the 6 houses we'll talk through in the next class or whenever the time permits. So there can be a few breaks here and there because I want to cover something about the moon in the next class. But let's see how much of time I will get to make the slides or make the website for the moon. I haven't started yet. So let's do the houses today. I have in place all these 12 houses. In the menu, you can go to study and click on significations. You have houses and then you have planets. So the houses will bring you here. So what you can understand from Lagna, what you'll understand from second house, third house, etc. till the 6th house. That's what we will cover today. So from the Lagna, what you will get is the body. So these significations are available in Uttara Kalamrita, written by Kalidasa. There are several people who wrote about the significations of houses. One is Bruhat Parashara Hora Shastra, you can always follow. The other one is this one, Uttara Kalamrita, from where all the significations are very clearly spelled in this. That is why I just took all those significations and got them here. There can still be more significations missing. Eventually, we will learn once we will cover 3 rasis as well. Okay, so Lagna is the self. Okay, in any divisional chart or in the main D1 chart, Lagna always represents the self. Okay, so you are looking at Navamsha chart, you are looking at yourself if you are looking at the Lagna. You're looking at Dashamsa chart, the Lagna is yourself. Okay, you take any chart, the Lagna is always you. Okay, do not be confused with variations. Some people are saying Navamsha Lagna is your spouse, etc. Don't fall for those, they don't work. Everywhere Lagna is yourself. It's very simple to remember. Okay, so Lagna is body, appearance, fame, because first house also shows the fame. First house shows the strength, your honor, your knowledge, your wealth. Okay, first house can also show wealth. Okay, do not think second house is the only signification. In today's world, all the 12 houses signify wealth. There is no house from where wealth cannot be signified. All the 12 houses can generate wealth. Okay, the reason is, as we all know, 200 years ago, 300 or till 200 years ago, 300 years ago, everybody were doing just their father's work. So if your father was a potter, you become a potter. Your father was a Brahmin, you become a Brahmin. Okay, so today it's not that case. Your father could be having any profession. You can pick any profession that you would want. So wealth does not come from the second house because second house significantly delivers father's routine. So 9th is your father. 6th from there is the second house. So how much your father earns or what your father has been doing during the daytime is shown by the 6th house. So your father's routine becomes your routine. So That is why people used to see the second house for wealth, which in today's world it would not stand. You have to look at all the 12 houses, and you do not know from where the wealth will come. So wealth usually comes from the profession that the man takes up. So always have D10 chart in place to understand wealth. Do not have anything without logic. Because the logic is the work you do, you get the money. So always use the D10 chart. So your D10 chart shows problems, it means there are money problems. Okay. Or tune your job in such a way wherein your D10 matches the whole thing, the chart of the life. So you have career problems or you have money problems. It means that your D10 is not in tune with what, or you are not in tune with what your D10 chart is saying. Okay. And then livelihood. Okay. So wealth, livelihood, all these would mean the same. Unhappiness or happiness. Okay. How much contented you are can also be seen from the Lagna. Most importantly from the D1 and the D9 Lagna. Okay. Because once the D9 Lagna activates, I mean, D9 Lagna will be in activation all through, but once you come to a age where, you know, you start earning, D9 is more and more prominent. Okay. So your happiness, your peace, everything comes from the D9 Lagna or the Navamsha Lagna. Okay. Limbs, the okay, the limbs that you have, the hands and the legs, even that is shown by the first house, because you know, the third house is limbs. Mercury owns the house and Mars is the significator. So Mercury gets directional strength in the first house and Mars owns the first house. So limbs are also represented by the first house. Okay. Ability to not do a work or ability to do the work. Okay. Which again depends on the limbs that you have. You have to have limbs to execute work. Okay. Longevity. Okay. Also depends on the first house. Self-respect, nature to insult and to avenge. Okay. Dreams, happiness, sleep. A lot of people think 12th house is the signification for dreams, happiness, and sleep, which is not wrong, which is very correct. However, you also need to look at the 10th house as well. Okay. The age. Okay. Age also comes from the first house. In other words, old age is rather the first house, because any Raj yogas or any yogas for that matter, Daridra yogas or Raj yogas, or a yoga that shows that you're going to go up, or a yoga that shows that you're going to go down, will work late in life if you have that yoga in the first house. Okay, what houses show those things? I will come to that. This is not the right time, so I'm not emphasizing on that. Okay, because we still have to go a long way to understand what yogas are and how to look at yogas. Do not fall for any of the yogas that you would see in the internet or etc. They don't work. The reason is they're all made for kings. Today, no king exists. And all of the yogas are made from only 5 or 6 rules. So you can make your own yogas. Political life, stigma, endeavoring to preserve livestock. So in olden days, it used to be, I haven't changed any of these things. So I've just written down as they are in the Kalidasa's book. So what it would mean is, in the olden days, people, whoever had more cattle, they were always considered rich. You have more cows, you can extract more milk. You have more oxen, it means that you have more arable land and you have a lot of cultivable land under you, and you can produce more crops, and you are you know, one of those big guys or big shots in your place. So the more the livestock that you hold, more richer you are. Okay, the Lagna also will show about the hair that you have. Even the 10th house shows the hair because that represents the head. 10th house also represents head, and Lagna also represents head. So you can check baldness from here, from the Lagna 10th house, both in Navamsha, D1, D9, D3. Okay, if you have examples on baldness, maybe pick 5, 6, 7 horoscopes. We can generalize and make rules and show to the people that this is how baldness can be checked. Okay. One part of it is you know, having sun in the Lagna, but that doesn't work always. Okay, just be clear on that. Just not have sun in the Lagna and say no, you would have bald hair. 90% of the times it's not working. Only 10% it shows up. Defamation from one's own kinsmen or persons of the same caste. Dignity, loss of decency, or having a lot of self-respect for his own self. Both would be shown from the Lagna. The birthplace, how is the hospital in which you were delivered? Okay, so that shows the birthplace. Birthplace doesn't mean it's a city or something. It's the description of how you are born. I mean, how many maids were attending your mother, or how many nurses were attending your mother, how much of fuel is left in the lamp. There are a few calculations that you can rely upon to understand how was your birth. Okay, and freedom from ill health. So what I mean to say is these are not just restricted for the D1 chart. These significations can apply in different charts as well. However, the sages have always said these are the significations of these houses. Now you guys go and figure out how you would figure out. Okay, we will come to all of those, but it is important to understand logically how these houses are playing out. Okay, freedom from ill health or having ill health, both can be possible from the first house. Gambling for others, that means, fighting for somebody else. I mean, not having any selfishness, even that is gambling for others. It means putting your life at risk for somebody else's, help, or helping somebody else. Skin also is represented by first house because Mercury gets the directional strength here, and Mercury is responsible for skin. The nature to renounce. Are you able to renounce? That can also be, I mean, less of selfishness, more of renounce, more things you can renounce. Okay. The second house is the family, more or less. By and large, you can see the family from here. The speech and the wealth. As I said, wealth, it is wealth because how much your father could, do. Because from the ninth house, sixth house is the second house. So depending on the routine that your father had, if he was healthy enough, because sixth house can also show the diseases that your father might have had. Okay, so ninth house is your father, sixth from there is the father's diseases or father's routine, or how much of effort he could put in the market so that he could make money. So a poor second house can mean that your father had more issues than yourself. Okay, so whoever is using it for yourself, however, whatever significations you use, you cannot rely on one house. Always rely on multiple houses and also multiple divisional chart. Okay, make your prediction based on one single combination that you will see. Okay, moreover, any planet being in debilitation or exaltation does not contribute to anything in your D1 chart. Okay, if you're cheerful about the exalted planet, or if you're sorrowful about a debilitated planet, you're doing the wrong thing. Please not be having any of those understandings. Always look at what nakshatras they are in, and please go to the nakshatra classes if you are very new to this lecture. Okay, so do not think second lord being in exaltation will get me more wealth. Second lord being in debilitation, no, all my money is gone. No, never think like that. It won't work like that. If it was so easy, it was very easy for people to program it in the Jagannath Hora itself, which came in 2000 and early 2000s. This man, PVR Narasimha Rao could have just wrote a simple thing stating your second house is in debilitation, so you will be a poor man. If it was so simple. Okay, it is not. So he did not make it. Okay, second house also rules the eyes, and second house is the house of sustenance. Okay, any house that is in the second from a house will mean sustenance of the house. Okay, because it casts a big argala on the previous house. Argala means an aspect kind of a thing. So second house from any house is important. So second house from the Lagna is sustenance of Lagna. That is why it is called as the Maraka Bhava. That means something that can kill you. Okay. Something that sustains you. If it goes absent, it means it is going to kill you. Okay. So third, then is the efforts to acquire money, because ninth it's the sixth from the ninth, so it can also show efforts. It is also in trines to your sixth house, so it can also show efforts. Okay, and 10th house and sixth house are both the karmas. So you have to put effort. Sixth house is effort, 10th house is effort. The more the effort you put, more is the second house, more is your gain. Even it works like that. Okay, splendor, that is the radiance that you may have. How radiant are you? Okay, or grace. Okay, how graceful you are while you do your things. So that's why professionals look very stylish when they are, somebody is batting, like you watch Tendulkar's batting, he's very graceful. Okay, it means while he plays those shots, they look very elegant. Okay, because he's very professional in that. So that elegance, that splendor, that radiance will come from the second house. And you would also have fine silver from here, which is the purest form of silver, which happens to be the signification of the moon, because moon has its mul trikona and also the exaltation point in the second house. It also rules the tongue, the second house. It also rules pearls. It also rules your humility, how grounded you are, and also it rules your firmness or steadiness of mind. It also rules clothes, because Venus rules the second house. It also rules the artificial products, because Moon and Venus can also be ruling those two things, artificial products. It also rules the great eloquence, because both are talking things, so eloquence. In general, generous or charitable nature. Okay, the more you are generous or not, you can look at it from the second house as well, just not from this 12th house. Because what I would always say is, you count as many number of houses from your lagna, either forward or reverse, would mean the same thing. Meaning your 12th house and second house are the same. Okay, it means that both are good houses, and both are equally bad houses. Your third houses and your 11th houses are the same. Both are equally good, both are equally bad. Your fourth house, your 10th house are the same. Okay, you try to read those nakshatras which we have talked about. You read Aslesha and you read Shravana. Both have links. Okay. Similarly, you find the opposite nakshatras of the rashis will have links from each other. Both will mean the same. Okay. I hope you're able to understand what I'm saying. So opposite rashis, wherever they would mean the same. Similarly, you count any number of houses from your lagna, forward or backward, they all will mean the same. Okay. Then is the nose, diamonds, copper, and precious stones, enjoyment of pleasures, maintaining others, close followers or neighbors. Even neighbors can be looked at from the second house. They can be looked at from the third house. Followers can be looked at from the fifth house or sixth house. None of these significations will have one house. Even if one signification fails, there are other houses that can support it. So please don't jump and say, okay, your second house is gone, so this signification is gone. It doesn't work like that. There will be a backup somewhere, and it also has to fail. Then only the whole stuff will go. Okay. Then as a close follower or neighbor, friends also can be seen from the second house. And nose, sales and purchase, that is basically trading. So you buy something and you sell something. How are you in that? How much can you trade and all that? It can be seen from the second house. Corn, and why we get these corn or nose, or why we have all this is to execute some pariharas. Okay, if you have to have do some remedies for yourself based on these significations, that is the rashi, that is the house significations which we are talking about right now. We also need to mix the rashi signification and the karka signification and give a remedy. Okay, it is useful for those remedy things most likely. How do we do the remedy? It takes some time. You can't jump over remedies right now. So once each planet is covered, each house is covered, your horizon to understand the whole thing will keep increasing. So only after that you come to remedies. Powerful or prosperous living, even that can come from the second house, because If your father is an affluent man, if had he brought a lot of things for you, if he had a lot of bank balance, you would eventually live a much richer life. Okay, so your prosperity starts or begins with your father's prosperity usually. Okay, and following the rules of going and arriving. Okay, the second house also governs the adoption cases. Okay, so you have to see adoption. So as I was talking about father, so suddenly it struck me, wherein, if your father may not be rich, but your foster father who adopted you, if he is rich, obviously you'll be more richer, right? So second house and fourth house both will rule adoption. Okay, and gold, nails, powerful or prosperous living, following the rules of going and arriving. Okay, miserliness in giving money, or if the person can be, frugal in giving away a lot of money. So third house, you have the courage. First thing is the courage that comes from third house, and also the siblings, and then valor, ears, feet, road, soldier. So how big is your road in front of your home will be decided by the third house. Even third house determines your name. How is your name? Okay. Or how much your name is being used by others, or how popular are you? Are you popular enough? You need to have a good third house. If you're popular, you'll get to see your third house is very good. If you're popular, your lagna and your third house will have a connection. It depends on how popular you are, the bigger is the third house. Okay. So then you have your friends, your soldiers, power, because the third house is ruled by the army, the navy, all these people. So soldiers also come from there. Ornaments. Ornaments are usually worn on the neck or in the hands. So third house rules both the neck and the hands. So all the gold ornaments are also coming from the third house. Okay. Mental instability or strong mental stability, both will come from the third house. Okay, your dreams, because if you have big dreams in your life, dream doesn't mean that would come while you're asleep, but like APJ Abdul Kalam said, the things that come into your eyes that when you're awake, right? These are such dreams that, look, I need to become this man, or this particular position. Okay, I need to become an IAS. That's a dream, right? So that comes from the third house. Your pilgrimages, usually come from the ninth house. Alternately, they can also be seen from the seventh house. Okay. Sometimes even from the 11th house, you will see pilgrimages. Okay. Wandering. How much are you wandering? So if you are going every day to your office, that makes like 50 kilometers one way, most likely in Indian cities. Okay. Maybe in the US, that's a bigger number. So it's a big number. So 50-kilometer one way is like you make 100 kilometers in a day to reach your office, or maybe your customer support is such that you always are traveling in your car or on your bike. You need to have a very strong third house, or your D10 will have a stronger third house. Okay, because that involves a lot of in-house travel. Okay, so if as the chart changes, the signification changes. What your third house in the D1 is, it's not the same thing in your D10. It represents a little different thing. It represents a little different thing in the D9. So a signification slightly changed, but when you understand the conceptual thing about what each house can represent, that is most important. And these that are written by Kalidas, I thought these are very close to huge number of significations. I don't know, somebody sent in a message. Please don't send in messages. Okay, I'm not seeing any of the messages. Wandering, strength, education, partitioning of inheritance. So how your inheritance is going to be partitioned. Okay, descent from a good family or a bad family. Okay, or where you come from, right? So if you're from a poor background, what happens is third house is the environment, right? The kind of neighbors you have. You belong to a slum, let us suppose, in childhood, and you became a billionaire, your third house is usually poor. Okay, you have a poor third house because in the initial days you had struggled. However, in the D10 may show a little differently. Okay, so these are very generic significations. If you just pick one signification and talk about it, you may need 1 hour for each signification. Okay, now you have to visualize your own selves. Okay, what could this particular thing could mean? Okay, and maids or servants. Sixth house is the major thing for maids or servants, but it can also be shown from the third house because sixth house is ruled by Mercury. Third house as well is ruled by Mercury. Okay, and land or a place. Okay, it can also be shown from the third house and also the fourth house. Also, your address can be shown from the third house. Okay, where do you live? What the kind of road on which you're living will be shown from your third house. Okay, so you good third house, it means that you have a big road in front of your place. You have taking a clean food, okay, and being happy for it, or taking a bad food and falling sick for it. Okay, both can be shown from third house. Servants can be shown from third house. Performing personal religious duties can also be shown from the third house. And you have great undertakings. This is one more important thing. That's why I keep saying, do never disregard the houses like third house, sixth house, especially third, sixth houses, because these are upachaya houses. Upachaya, that means these can, chaya means, collection. Upa means nearing collection. These people can collect a lot of things. Okay, the Chayana Shakti that we talked about in the nakshatras as well. So Upa Chaya. So it can help the person move forward. Okay, so third, 6, 10, 11 are the Upachaya houses. They are there for a reason because you will pick them and move forward. And interestingly, both are ruled by Mercury and Saturn. Third is ruled by Mercury, sixth is ruled by Mercury, 10th is ruled by Saturn, and 11th is ruled by Saturn. These are neutral houses, or these are the houses where you have a lot of free will. Okay, so the more you try to disregard that there is no horoscope, there's nothing, I have fallen down, let me rise back in life, nobody is going to disturb me, I'm going to take my foot forward and move ahead in life. These are 3, 6, 10, 11 houses. That's why they are called as neutral houses, where luck cannot do anything. Okay, I think this concept was first I understood from the Panchugri. I think this is one of those concepts which actually admired. I got the admiration to join his classes or take his classes. This is the only thing which I think I can remember very well. And why they are called neutrals. There is a reason for it. That's the reason here. Okay, so I took the classes for Rashis and planets. They are very good two courses. The Rashi's significations and the planet significations. They'll be useful. Most likely for the D1 chart. He does very good things on the D1. So everybody has their own, what is that? Merits. So DG is very good on the D1 chart. It's very good understanding of D1 chart. Otherwise, most likely I was using mostly divisional charts for most of the predictions. Although nakshatras I was losing a little, but later on I have developed the knowledge of nakshatras, having understood what rashis were actually contributing. Anyway, there are a good number of nakshatra videos that I made. Please go and see. That's enough information, and a lot of people say that this information is not available elsewhere. Anyway, so good qualities, great undertakings that can come from the third house, small good vehicles, because cars or things like that can also come from third house. You may have a very good car from it. Don't always think that fourth house is the only signification. Everywhere, for every signification, there is always an alternate thing. Okay, and short good journeys, abode of the gods, pastime or a hobby. Okay, third house can also show that there is a pastime or a hobby. Okay, third house is the throat. It can also show profits. As I said, you count 3 houses backwards from the lagna, it becomes 11th house. Forward you count, it will be third house. So it can also show profits. Okay, near relations, war, the ability or having a fit body or fitness, mental strength and physical strength, both, any strength will come from the third house. Third house is a very important house for you to be successful. Okay, the fourth house, mother, everybody knows this. Besides that, you can have education here, national, governmental, public work. Fourth house is all about how is your public life. Okay, if your fourth house is not having enough strength, it means that you do not want to move socially with people. Okay, you're a reserved person, you don't mix up with people too much. Okay, so fourth house being in fourth lord being in 12th house, 8th house, it means that the person is looking at isolation, does not want to mix up with too many people. Okay, does not always mean that your mother is having a problem or you don't have a house, etc. Okay, never do such conclusions with just one thing. You cannot have. What can be possible is fourth house is your public life, so you may be a reserved person. This also is one of those significations. You may not mingle with a lot of people. Third thing is the house. Fourth is travels can also be seen from third house and also fourth house, because fourth house is your motherland. If you have to make big travels, then obviously your fourth house has to be weak. That is when you will either immigrate to another country. Okay, so having a very good fourth house would mean you cannot go to another country and live there. You would always come back here. Okay, vehicles drawn by men, boats, and similar conveyances. It means that it's cars. Okay, you have cars. So fourth house, the luxurious the car is, the better is your fourth house. Okay, and also never connect anything with the debilitation or the exaltation. As I keep saying, anything debilitated. Let's suppose your fourth lord debilitated does not mean your mother is dead. Okay, don't make such conclusions. No, it does not also mean that you don't have a car. You may not have a car, but your fourth lord can be debilitated. These are two different things. Please don't mix them up. Okay, it can be one of those cases where there is, yes, fourth lord is debilitated and also you don't have a car or you don't have a house. Okay, so it is a different thing. Don't mix these two things. Okay, and never just make predictions using just the D1 chart. They don't work. They don't work for a reason, because you're not confirming whether the result is confirmed in the D9 and the D10 or the D16 or the relevant divisional chart. You always have to check. For example, if you have to predict about the fourth house, which signifies the mother, okay, you may have to look at the D12 chart. Okay, besides the D9 chart, you always have to look at the D12 chart for the mother. That's a living being, right? You also have to look at the D16 chart if you're looking at the vehicles. Okay, you have to look at the D4 chart if you're looking at your home. Some people may be using other divisional charts, but yes, for sure, what everybody has agreed upon is merely basing your prediction on the D1 chart can go haywire 90% of the times. Okay, you get the result from all the divisional charts, and for sure, Navamsha has to be seen for everything. Okay, your Navamsha has to first confirm it, and then the relevant divisional chart has to confirm it. That is from where the whole prediction is going to come. Okay, so your mother, your relatives, okay, because the fourth house is where the moon owns it. Moon has the exaltation and the Mula Trikona in the second house, which represents your family. It also owns the fourth house. So it represents the extended family and your kith and kin. Okay, it can also show friends who become like family friends, right? Who are very close to you. And it can show your whole caste or a community or your department. As the country progresses, what happens is maybe the whole community would mean an area can become a community because they're all living together. Okay, and they're all of the same social class. Okay, and clothes, this can also come up from the fourth house because Venus has directional strength here. Usually clothes are represented by Venus. Okay, it can also be shown by sun, it can also be shown by moon. Okay, so there can be variations with people. Okay, if you get to listen to 4 people or 5 people, 5 people may be talking about the same thing, but they may be giving different houses as significations. Likely all of them will work. Okay, never disregard such things. Likely all of them will work. You have to use all of them. That is why it is more complex. That is why it is more complex, because some clothes, because clothes by and large is Venus. Okay, sun represents a kind of clothes where branded clothes are there. Okay, Mars represents a kind of clothes where they are basically just clothes. Okay, a poor man's clothes or your inner wear. Okay, similarly, every planet will have one or the other signification that contributes to the Venus, which makes a cloth. Okay, hope I'm making some sense. They're all given by the rishis already. Okay. Okay, jeans, if you're wearing jeans, they come from the sun. Okay, because uh, what is this jeans usually called? I don't know, forgetting that particular term. Gunny bag cloth, right? Hessian cloth or gunny bag. So jeans usually look like that. Coarse cloth. So that's a sun thing. Small wells, drinking, milk, and spices or perfumes, and habit of or alcohol drinking, too much of alcohol consumption can also be shown from the fourth house. Very happy life comes from the fourth house, because fourth house shows the contentment, how much you're contented, how much are you happy. Okay, that comes from the fourth house. And a good name can come from the fourth house. Laid back attitude can also come from the fourth house. Very good medicine can come from the fourth house, because moon is a healer, sun is a healer, Mercury is a healer again. So if you're looking at profession of a doctor can be anyone. Mercury is a doctor, moon is a doctor, sun is a doctor. From any signification you can pick up, because the kind of doctors that you have today are too many departments are there. Each planet will focus on something. Okay, like Mars and Ketu, they'll focus on surgery. Okay, so there is no one planet for a signification, no one house for a signification. Then why do we learn these houses? These are those basic houses. You need to have that logic inculcated in you. So these basic, significations have to be learned. That is when you need reach the next level. Okay, and faith or trust or hope. Rather, it should be hope, because your fourth house would say how hopeful are you. So hope can be very good and hope can be very bad. I'll tell you a simple example wherein something bad happened for 2 people. Same bad thing happened. One guy will be very hopeful, okay, and he would still be careless. Okay, so hope, actually, what can the hope mean? The person can become careless because he's still hopeful that something good can happen. Okay, the other positive side of hope is he's not slipping into depression. He's making his efforts and going forward. The other side of the person is he slipped into depression, so he is actually not having any hope. But a person who does not have a hope will be correcting himself more, and he'll be more circumspect or more careful in the next endeavor, so that he does not fall back. Okay, so you cannot please generalize whether having hope is good or bad. Okay, suspicious person will actually install more and more checks in his life so that nothing goes wrong. Despite that, yes, there will be failures. It's not that you may not have a failure, but that's a different thing. Okay. Uh, so you have a function hall, that's fourth house. You have false allegations that can come up from the fourth house. Okay, that can come from 10th house as well. It can come from 6th house as well. That's why I keep saying, so you cannot generalize it with one thing. False allegations can come from first house also. Okay, however, the allegations would generally mean the fourth house, because moon receives allegations. Okay, usually if you look at the Puranas, moon has been the cause for allegations. Just go back in time and understand what moon has been doing for the allegations. Okay, you can understand the Vinayaka Chaturthi Katha. Okay, so Krishna received allegations. He represents the moon, and also he was looking at the moon's parchaya in the milk. Okay, and all that story. So allegations can come from moon. Works that give sorrow or suffering, or it can give you a lot of comforts. Both are from the fourth house. So presence of comforts is fourth house. Absence of comforts is also fourth house. Both will come from there. Okay, absence of comforts will give you sorrow and suffering. Presence of comforts will give you a very happy life. Okay, or you have a very laid back attitude and you do not want to correct anything in your life, and you are very complacent fellow. Okay, you don't bother about anything else. You have a very good fourth house. Everything else is destroyed. It would mean that you're lethargic. You don't want to correct anything in your life. Okay, this also can be possible. So do not think your fourth lord is in the exaltation. Oh, wow. No, sometimes fourth lord in the exaltation or fourth lord very well placed can mean that you have a very complacent attitude and you do not want to work upon your things. Okay. Also, fourth lord very well placed can also mean that it is bringing you a lot of luck and it will give you a lot of cars and homes, just like that. Okay. It can be both ways. So just be careful. Do not make conclusions just made based on just one thing. One particular placement cannot decide the whole horoscope. Okay, don't read tidbits where somebody says if your fourth lord is this, okay, you do this, you become this. Okay, that's all. It doesn't work like that. 90% of the times they don't work. Digging tanks and wells, which is the most important part of everybody's in olden days when the person becomes successful, had completed all his responsibilities in the olden age, people used to do a lot of public welfare. Okay, digging tanks and wells will help the public because because in those days wells are meant as public property. It is not your private thing that you dig your well inside or you put your bore inside into your plot. Okay, wells used to be public. Okay, and sacred installations, relatives of the mother's side, pure or steady intellect. Your father can also be shown from the fourth house. I think I gave an example last time as well. You have fourth house Mars. There can be a problem for mother on brahmacharya, or your father maybe could be dying early. Okay, so it also shows the father. Okay, because it's the eighth house from the ninth house, so it can also show the longevity of your father. Okay, it can also show how complacent your father is, or whatever eighth house significations can be there for father. Your father's inheritance can also be shown from the fourth house. That's why you pick the same home. That's your home because your grandfather gave it to your father, and then it comes to you. Okay, and then your wife also can be shown from the fourth house. Okay, it's not just your mother. It can be your wife as well. Because at certain point in time, your wife would be no more with you, and most of the things that your mother was doing, your wife would do. Okay, securing and keeping safe the earnings. You need what is that, locker or something? Your locker is your fourth house. Okay, your palace or your hut, both will come up from the fourth house. Your sculptures, okay, any idols. Okay, don't think sculpture is a big word. Any idols, okay, it could be any small idols at your place, or these days there can be photos as well, framed photographs as well, especially of gods or any items. Do not represent the people. Okay, such things come here. Okay, entering into one's own new home. Okay, that's the griha pravesha that we call. Character of the person. How much morally are you correct? How much are you ethically correct? Can be seen from your fourth house. Loss of one's own house or paternal property. Food that, I mean, it's like the naivedya we call, right? So we give food to the god. So the naivedya. And art of giving mentally clues to the places where stolen property is hidden. It comes from the fourth house. Okay, so if your property is lost, you do the prashna, and then if your fourth house is good, you can get back that. There are certain principles. Okay, we can talk about them once all this whole thing is over. We will talk about that maybe 2-3 years later. Ant hills. Okay, what do ant hills have got to do here? It means many things. Okay, I cannot explain it right now. It will become a big topic on its own. Developing or contributing to the extensive spread of the Vedic texts and the Shastras. Buffaloes, cows, bulls, horses, elephants, in an intoxicated state, or you are driving your car very rashly. Okay. Abundance of crops from wetlands, it means that you have an arable land and you earn a lot of money from, raising crops there and selling them and getting money. Fourth house can also show wealth from the agriculture or anything that relates to the fourth house, real estate. Okay, all this money comes from the fourth house. So never think second house is the only area from where wealth can come. Wealth will come from all 12 houses in current days. Okay, don't fall for that. Just the second house or the 11th house or 9th house. Wealth will come from all 12 houses. Fifth house is the children. Then you have virtuous deeds of your father, because ninth from the ninth house, that's the dharma of your father. So the dharma, if the dharma is good, he'll be virtuous. That's how it used to be in olden days. Okay. And the king, the fifth house usually rules the government. You have something wrong with the government, you are penalized by the government, you receive tax notices. All these are from the fifth house. And how good your character is, despite fourth house shows your morals, fifth house will show the character, because fifth house is ruled by sun. Okay. And sun is the atma, so it shows the character. It also shows the sculptures or the idols, rather. It shouldn't be a sculpture, it should be an idol. And it also shows the mind, okay, and the intelligence, how intelligent you are. Okay, that also comes from here. Fifth house also shows a lot of creativity. Good fifth house would mean very creative people. Education, in the sense, what I understood is the number of degrees that you have. Okay, so the larger the fifth house is, the more number of degrees you must have done. And fifth house rules pregnancy, obviously, everybody knows this. The kind of discretion you will do to pick up jobs, or discretion comes up with your intelligence. So it is at your discretion. So should I pick this or not? So that is all intelligence. Fifth house rules umbrellas. So usually fifth house problems, we'll talk about donating umbrellas, or checking for umbrellas which are lying at your place, damaged, etc. Usually people, I think most people are doing this right now. A lot of people give remedies of this sort, depending on the Astro Vastu. We'll get through this at a very long time later. So what is Astro Vastu is, you talk to a person, you understand that there is this problem, that problem, and so on. And if you have concluded that the fifth house is the problem, based on the position of the planets, you can locate from the horoscope where the problem is, and you ask them to remove that particular item. Could be a broken umbrella, okay, or it could be anything from the particular area of the house, or a particular room of the house, depending on the astrological placements. These things also sometimes they help, because if the dasha is bad, at least if these corrections are made, some relief can come from the Astro Vastu as well. I have given these remedies, and most of the times, so when we get to see the chart, we'll find out, look, there is this item you have to remove, and they during the call they may say, I'm not very sure if there would be, they'll go back and confirm, yes, there is this, and they'll remove it. Okay, so these things usually happen. This happens rarely, however, maybe 30-40%, not really. So in that case, 30% is still a big number. Okay, and auspicious documents, clothes, enjoying great prayogas, that means experiments, because sun is very good at experimenting. Okay, something creative. So if you have to be creative, you have to experiment, and most of your experiments will go wrong. Okay, you will fail many times and you will still get up. That is your fifth house. Okay, paternal property is also fifth house, because fourth house and fifth house both will rule that. And foresightedness, how much you are sure, because foresightedness comes from the intelligence that you have. So it's again the sun's area. And wealth and prosperity acquired through the wife or her relatives. Seventh house is the wife. 11th house from the seventh house is the fifth house. So your wife's salary or profits from the wife, etc., can be seen from the fifth house. Okay, affairs with women can also be seen from the 5th house. Okay, so profundity and seriousness, all this can also be seen from this 5th house. Firmness, stubbornness, how much stubborn you are. And sometimes it's good to be stubborn. Sometimes it is bad to be stubborn. So you cannot generalize any of these karkatvas to be going wrong. It will be both ways, okay? Sometimes being stubborn and saying, look, I don't do cheap things. Don't come to me. And the guy is being stubborn for it. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? It is very good, okay? Somebody is trying to suggest you a good thing and you're stubborn of not changing your behavior. Is it a bad thing or a good thing? It's a bad thing. So both have their own, things. So never think being firm is bad or being firm is good. These are two sides of a coin. Okay. And secrets can be there from the 5th house as well, because 5th house is all light. So moon and the sun are there for unlocking secrets or unearthing secrets. Humility, how much you are humble, etc. Good reporting of news, welfare of people, because sun is there as a king. He bothers about the welfare of people. Composition of kavyas and prabandhas, that means the understanding of what is it? Poetry. Okay, poetry, etc. Who is interested in writing novels or poetry or anything on that creative side, you will need Venus as well. Okay, Venus rules that part of it, which is governed by the 5th house. Okay, because 5th house also rules, also signified by Venus, also signified by Mercury, also is signified by Sun, also is signified by Jupiter. If you ask me, for all the 12 houses, all the planets will have one or the other small signification. There is no house where one planet does not have a signification. It will be very rare, but there will be one or the small other signification in that house. If you try and search it, you will get it. Okay. Friendship, composition of kavyas and prabandhas. Prabandhas means large kavya. Okay. And stomach or tummy. So how big your tummy is, as I think I've told this before as well. In olden days, the bigger the tummy is, because Guru, the Jupiter, has large tummy. He's usually portrayed as a person who has a large tummy. Large tummied person would mean highly intelligent person. It's only a pictorial representation. Does not always have to be true, by the anatomy. Okay. So the other one is upasana or the mantra siddhi. Okay. These are the other things, and also the splendor and how radiant are you looking is also from the 5th house. Okay, and also distributing food to other people, because what does the king do? King always tries to help his people in the kingdom. So he always tries to ensure everybody has employment and they are able to generate their food. Or if there is a uh, there is you don't have rains, what is it called? Kshama. Suddenly I forget. He supplies food then from the store when there is no rain or when there is drought. That's the right word.
Famine is looking
Yeah,
for.
famine or the drought. Yeah, thanks for the word. So king is looking at that and performing the japa of mantras, wisdom, deep thought, and means of earning money. This is most important for the 5th house. Because if you're intelligent, what would you do? You would apply your brains to work. Okay, you'll put your brain to work. If you are not intelligent, what would you do? You will not use your 5th house, but use your 3rd house, because your arms are more stronger. So you use your 3rd house. You have got a good brain. You use also your 3rd house and your 5th house. Okay, that's how it is. And having instrumental music, like mridanga, flute, anything that is used to play with hands, any instrumental music, or is the 3rd house and the 5th house. If you count 3 houses from the 3rd house, that is 3rd house is Bhava is the 5th house. 3rd house is the Maidhuna, where the sex happens, And third from the third is the children. So there is sexual intercourse, there is children. That is how logically the whole pattern is designed. Okay. Mithuna means Maithuna. Maithuna means copulation. Okay. Scholarship, acquisition of the hereditary post of a minister. So anything that comes from your father as a hereditary position, etc., comes from the fifth house. Okay. Sixth house rules servitude. Okay. The most important thing is, the sixth house, what it rules is, how much of service that you can render to people upon asking for. If somebody calls for help, will you go or not, can be seen from your sixth house. A good sixth house will mean a person is a lot helpful. A poor sixth house would mean the person is not ready to help. Okay. If the sixth house involves, it's difficult to actually generalize, because usually people try to help one or the other, because man is a social animal. Okay. He does not want to isolate himself unless it is very afflicted, etc. However, depending on how much he would sacrifice himself and try to help others will depend on his 12th house, first house, and sixth house. So based on these three things, because the Dharma Shastra is not agreed. If your children are, starving, and if you're trying to donate your money to somebody else, it is considered as a sin in the Dharma Shastra, because your children, your wife are starving and you're donating your money elsewhere, or you're gambling elsewhere. It's not agreed. So only based on that, the rules of these people have designed. So if you get to see these things, the astrologer will warn the person, look, you will go a wrong direction. You cannot do that. Today, these people are called as charitable. Okay, not necessarily sometimes. So whatever is written in the old times, not necessarily they will apply to today's situations. You have to keep in mind what were the situations that the writer must have had during his time. Keeping those conditions of the Desh, Kal, Patra in mind, you have to read these significations. Then you will understand them very, very clearly. Okay. And never take any of these things in a single word, as if sixth house is diseases. Not necessarily. Sixth house also will represent a healthy body without any diseases. Okay, if there is the word diseases, it means that it also means no diseases. If there is obstacles, it also means there are no obstacles. For both of these things, sixth house is the karaka, or the significator. Fighting in a war can be sixth house. Maintaining peace and running away from a war, being timid, can also be sixth house. Both are sixth house significations. Okay. Or fighting unnecessarily, every time goes into a fighting, is also sixth house. Also not fighting at all for even for his own rights is also sixth house. Maternal uncle is sixth house. Maternal aunt is also sixth house. Phlegm, tumors are also sixth house. Getting out of those tumors and living a happy life is also sixth house. Okay. Cruel or fierce activities is also sixth house. Or very timid person is also sixth house. Madness can also be sixth house. Okay. Smallpox, foes and enmity, miserliness, or giving away too much is also sixth house. Ill health is sixth house, and also being very, very healthy is sixth house. Okay, it will work both the ways. Never think getting into sixth house means I'm going into a ill health. No. If it was so easy, as I said, PVR Narasimha Rao would have programmed it long back and said, look, your Lagna Lord is going into sixth house. You are a diseased man. You are a ill health man. You are a sick person. It's not that. It's not so easy. Okay. Somebody called me up about 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe the last week. She was asking me, look, I'm going to start a dasha of a planet that's placed in the sixth house. Does that mean that I'm going to be sick from the next year because it's in the sixth house? I only told her the same thing. If it was so easy, there will be astrologers everywhere, and there will be no person who is looking at, seeking astrological advice. There will be only people who are talking about astrology. Okay, or giving predictions. Nobody will take them. Boiled rice, heavy breathing, debts, slanders, delight of the foes, tuberculosis, Any person who got out of the ill health can also be shown from this place, 6th house. Wounds, boils, cuts, anything can come from 6th house. Mental agony or worry, because you are stressfully working. 6th house shows the stress. So if a person, recently statements came in from different people, I don't want to name them, you would obviously know who made statements that, look, you have to put in so many hours per week. Okay, that is when you will reach success. You're more stressful, right? So you're putting in more hours into work and you're going to get more money out of it. They're not wrong in one way. Okay, although they are being portrayed as villains, etc., but they are right in their own way because they have been working like that and they are trying to say that. But what people are trying to make up for it is, look, it is their company, so they are working and we are employees. And how do they expect us to be working like that? Okay, please don't work. Please don't work. You will not reach there. Okay, it's both way. Okay, I'm not saying that those people are right and these people are wrong. It is both the ways. Okay, such is the case. Receiving alms. Okay, so you don't work, so you have a very good 4th house, you have a very poor 6th house. It means that you're lethargic, you're not working, so you're looking at alms from other people. Okay, you have you're trying to stick your hands out and seek money from people, or maybe seek something else from the people. Okay, untimely food, fall or loss or destruction brought about by foes who are collaterals. Okay, so people who tend to be like friends, they become like enemies. Okay, secret enemies who behave like friends in front of us, and they work along with us and try to dig holes behind us. Okay, profits. Okay, 6th house can also show profits. Okay, do not think 6th house is a bad house. Wearisomeness, poison, peptic or duodenal ulcers, fetters, protect. These are all diseases. Okay, it shows each and every disease. Okay, that can be the person can come out of these diseases a little early in time. 8th house would mean a long-term disease. This is a usual term people use. However, that's a very generic way of looking at it. 6 flavors in the food: hot, sweet, bitter, etc. Reproach. So approaching again and again. So not not accepting the failure and trying the thing again and again. Day in and day out activities, or the uh, your daily routine gets captured in the 6th house. You have a very good 6th house, it means your daily routine is very good, and so you can be successful. You can build from there. So that can bring you money. Okay, or that can bring you, I don't know, it can bring you emancipation as well, or your self-actualization as well. Okay, depending on what you are doing every day. Okay, and imprisonment can also come from the 6th house. It usually comes from the 12th house as well. See, every signification has at least 2-3 houses. So just don't think only one house will give this one. Okay, the idea of giving this out is so that it's not that you don't know significations and I am the only person who know it. Most of the people know all these significations. However, the only thing I want to make clear here is that significations come from 3-4 houses. Even if one of the signification or one house shows a negative trait, the other 2 houses or 3 houses that show this, if they balance out, it means the signification is very good. And always use the divisional charts, without which you cannot predict anything. Never make your prediction based on just the Deepan chart. That is all about for today. We will talk about the 7 to 12 houses in the maybe after we complete moon, or maybe sometime in between the moon if we have some time, or whenever I don't find time to make up for the website, we'll take up that. Any questions, comments anybody has, they're free to ask. Was this informative or it's too fast? Any comments on that?
This is really good, sir. Thank you. Very detailed and thorough.
Glad that you liked it. Thank you. Yeah, Ustad. Yeah, Ustad.
So
Hmm.
I have a question.
Hmm.
So what is the difference between Lagna and Lagna Lord? Uh, if Lagna signifies you, what does Lagna Lord signify? Because ascendant sign, I believe, is the environment and the planet is the living entity or person. So isn't it more logical that Lagna Lord signifies us instead of the Lagna?
Both signifies as only. Both signifies as only. Okay. Either I'll also add one more thing. Even the Pak Lagna will signify you. Okay. What does Pak Lagna means?
Lagna Lord's
Yes,
placement.
Lagna Lord's Lord. So if your Lagna is Aries, if your Mars is placed in Sagittarius, your Pak Lagna is wherever Jupiter is placed. That is your Pak Lagna. Even that can represent you. Your Arudha Lagna can represent you, but they are all different spheres of life. Okay, all of them will represent you. The spheres of life are different. Okay,
And
one can cancel out each other. Sometimes both will show the same thing. It means that you are emphasizing on the same prediction again. Yeah, go ahead.
and you said for nails we take second house.
I said
But
right,
I
but for everything there are 2, 3 significations. Yes, I what?
but uh, hands are being signified by third house,
Hmm.
and facial features and face is being signified by second house, as far as I have till now
Hmm.
come across. It is
Hmm.
the first time I'm hearing that, and
Can you apply
also
the logic? What is the logic? Why nails are in the second house?
yes, I am not able to get the logic.
Come
That's why
on,
I'm asking.
come on, come on. Very simple. Nails,
Limbs, you said.
no, nails keep growing and going down, right? Second house. Moon goes up and goes down, axis and veins.
Okay, okay.
Very simple.
And a lot in a lot of houses explanation, you said
Hmm.
that if we move same places away from a particular house, let's say 4 places away from first house
Yeah.
and 4 places backward, will
Yeah.
have the same meaning.
Yes.
Isn't it? Will it not be complementary rather than the same? Like one thing will
Okay,
signify.
you give it a different name anyway. Yeah, both we both are meaning the same.
And one more question. Where will you said that artificial things are represented from second house because of Venus and Moon?
Hmm.
So can we map artificial intelligence also to second house?
You need Mercury. You need intelligence for it. So you need Sun. Sun, Mercury will represent artificial intelligence.
And for pilgrimage, do we see the third house or seventh, ninth, 11th,
Ninth
or
house
all of
is
them?
seventh house. Ninth house is more for pilgrimage. The third house is also there because you need to travel locally, right? For a pilgrimage. Let's suppose you have to go to Kashi. What would a person in Hyderabad do? He'll pick code or train. He'll catch a train. He's not going abroad, right? So it can show a travel for a pilgrimage. And the real pilgrimage is in the ninth house.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll have to see all.
You can
And
it can show third house, it can show seventh house, it can show ninth house, all three.
you said 11th also.
11th also. Yes.
Okay, and third house is car or driving skill, because third house we see for skills.
Hmm.
But you said third house we all can also see car,
Correct. It depends on
and that
what kind of car you're having. You're having a very good, comfortable, luxury car. For sure, you have to look at the fourth house. Third house car is a car that is just there as a car. You can call it as a car. Okay. Barely a car.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
It is the underwear of clothes. That kind of car. I mean, simple day-to-day car.
You can afford a big car, but you bought a small one. That is when it will show up in the third house.
It has to be small in size, or it has to be less
Affordability.
luxurious.
Affordability.
Affordable. Okay.
Affordability.
And last question, how can we differentiate, although you said we have to see from all the places, but still there has to be some difference.
That comes up
At least
as we proceed through all the significations of the planets, and then we
because
take up
the
each chart. Let me complete. Or your
okay,
question is not complete.
my question is not complete actually.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
How can we differentiate between second and fourth house? Because these two houses have been the most confusing for me.
How can you differentiate between the second and the fourth house? They all will keep changing in your divisional charts. You've not still approached even the first class. So you're asking a PG question to an LKG man. So you have to wait for it. I cannot explain, as you know, I cannot explain this in half a line or something. I'm not such a fellow. I need to explain you the whole logic, then only you'll understand. Because the moment I tell you something, you'll come back with another follow-up question, which I do not want. The only thing is you have to be patient.
Oh, okay, sir. Today's class, as we have progressed through, I wrote down a lot of questions, and after I have listened to you for 1 hour, like always, a lot of questions seems stupid now. Although I have asked them, but
No,
they
it's
seem
okay. See,
stupid.
never think this is stupidity or anything. The idea is not to make you look stupid, or that is not the objective.
No,
The
I'm not
objective
saying that
is,
you are making me.
yeah.
I'm not saying that you are making me looking stupid, but I am feeling stupid in myself. Like it
No, this
is
means that at
plain.
least you got cleared off all the doubts by the end of the lecture. It's a good
Yes,
thing.
your teaching is such that
Good. Thanks for the compliment.
it unravels a lot of things.
Yeah. You need to be a little patient. There will be still a lot of questions across your mind. Why the significations are so complex? You'll get to know them because this is a big ocean, and you just have 12 houses for it. Okay, sometimes your karma is designed in such a way that you have 9 planets, 12 houses. Let's suppose so many people are being born with different karmas. How can the God ensure, or the Almighty, or name whatever name you want to give him? Okay, and how can he ensure that, look, okay, with a smaller thing, smaller correction or smaller movement of a planet, everything changes in the chart, right? So the
Yes.
significations are extremely important. They'll take some time to be digested. You have to learn them. There's no way that, and at one point in time, you'll understand, okay, this is the reason why these significations are like this. Because if you get the logic behind it, if you read each of these and try to understand what is the logic behind it, you will be for sure able to understand. Still now, because I have not covered all the 12 houses, so some of the significations may look, this is wrong. How can this be possible? Okay, these are not those significations which I made. These are from the Kalidasa who gave the Uttara Kalamrita. Okay, they're more relatable because these are more newer significations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Good. Any more questions? Anybody has?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good, meet.
Very nice class. Sir, I have a question regarding the karkas, like, you said multiple houses can give. Would you be able to explain that? Because I didn't get that point. Like, I'm still confused on that.
We haven't covered all the 12 houses, so you have to wait for all the 12 houses to be complete. And each signification, let's suppose, your body or your health comes from the self. Okay, first thing. I also said the health comes from, or the ill health comes from the 6th house, or the health again comes from the 6th house. There are 2 significations at least, or 2 houses that signify health. There will be more because even the 3rd house will show you how strong you are. So even 3rd house shows about your health. The 2nd house actually sustains your 1st house. So even 2nd house can show you an ill health. There is no generic way from where you can just look at the D1 placement and say, look, you're ill or you're not ill, etc. It's a series of things that you have to conduct on the horoscope, and that is when you will come to a conclusion. Okay, all these things are failing, so there is ill health. Okay.
Right. So the health perspective, I understand, like, it could be
Similarly,
any houses.
similarly,
Yeah.
everything.
If you can give some other example, that will be great.
Which one would you pick?
Anything else?
Okay.
Anything.
Okay.
Like,
I talked about wealth. Okay. First thing is health, and second thing is
okay.
wealth, right? Wealth can
Right.
come from all the 12 houses again.
Okay.
Okay. The second house wealth is the sixth from your ninth. Okay. Whatever your father
Right.
has been doing in his daily routine. I'm muting you up. I feel a little difficult if you're saying yeah in between, because I forget what I'm actually trying to say. Okay, you muted yourself. Thank you. So sixth from the ninth house. So your father's daily routine would have brought in wealth into your home. So that is your second house. Okay. So I also said fifth house when we were talking about the fifth house. 11th from the seventh house is your fifth house. So the wife's salary is in the fifth house, or wife's profits is in the fifth house. Okay. Similarly, you can make n number of rules using your basic things of the sixth house, 11th house, 10th house things, and you can make all the houses responsible for giving you wealth. For example, 12th house connections can bring you wealth from countries outside. Okay, you need a 12th house connection or a 9th house connection for you to have foreign wealth. Okay, so merely having your second lord in the 12th does not mean you don't have any wealth. It can be from a foreign source. Okay. Do you get what I say?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And we can also determine how wealthy the person will be, or
Yeah, that's the
no.
last thing you have to get. You have to see D9, you have to see D10. I've explained this as well in the video, saying do not make conclusions merely based on the D1 chart. Always look at D9 and D10 both, because wealth comes from your profession. So D10 is the most important one. If you have to make money, okay, if your father gave you money, it may show up elsewhere. Okay, it can show up in the D9, it can show up in the D12. Okay. See, different people will use different charts. So if I say D12, people will say jump and say, oh, how come you will see it in D12? D12 is only for death. I understand that. But if you know how to see, even each chart, it can show. Okay, it can show up from different charts. The kind of techniques that you're using matters. It is not that chart or something. Yes, charts always are there, but you need to know what principles you're using. If you're using the right principles and checked up with your charts, mini charts, you can make your own rules and say, look, these are those rules that are applying. And this is how the money is. You try it on 100 charts and make a rule. That is the best way of actually arriving at the right solutions for people. Just merely mugging up on all the yogas that are present in all the books, they will lead you nowhere. Even if you try to program all of them, because if you see Jagannath Hora, what this man has done is he has already programmed everything here. Okay, you go here, go to strengths, and go to other strengths. You see here what are all the yogas applicable. They're all given here. See, so many yogas. Shasha Yoga, Nipun Yoga, Gajkesri Yoga, Kedar Yoga, Ashubha Yoga, Chambar Yoga, Shankha Yoga. But will this work? How will this work? Okay, so you will only be confused if you're reading all these yogas. To my understanding, none of these yogas are applicable for ordinary people. They don't work on any ordinary people. They'll work only on celebrities. You may say, okay, even a celebrity can be an ordinary person. He became a celebrity later on. So whoever is destined to become a celebrity, there only these are working. Or you need to have a very good understanding of your D10, D9 and stuff like that, and make them prove. I mean, they should appeal to you in such a way that this is going to be a celebrity, and that is when you can apply these rules. So what is missing right now is the bridge that, okay, this chart can grow into a celebrity. That is what you have to first establish. Then apply these rules. Otherwise, these rules are making no sense to anyone. You talk to any Gajakesari person, Moon and Jupiter together, he would say, look, I have faced most of the hardships in my life. And you will see there is Gajakesari Yoga. Okay, what is famous and virtuous? Very simple. Why is it not working? 90% of the times these are not working. If they're working, they are just by a fluke. Or they are a celebrity chart. It is a celebrity chart. In your chart, if you have Gajakesari, a lot of people with Gajakesari are learning astrology to understand why this yoga is not working. Okay.
Okay, sir. And one more question, because I didn't took all the classes yet, so maybe I missed it. The Sudbal will tell you overall picture of the chart of the person life.
Do not base your predictions based on any of the mathematical numbers placed here. They don't work just like that. Okay, there is a calculation given here for a reason, and do not make your predictions based on these numbers. Okay, so it does not mean that sun is weak. Okay, it does not always mean that the sun is weak. Sun is weak depending on what symptoms you have. It is more important to understand what is happening to the person than just merely rely on this number and give a remedy. Okay, even if the sun is 85% strength as shown here, if you have no problems of sun, it is better not to do a remedy for sun. You may be going to a temple every day, that's fine. Those are all fine. But specifically doing remedies to sun or doing something to, general remedies are fine. Visiting Jyotirlingas, whichever remedies that I gave, they're fine. Unless the person is his symptoms of difficulties point towards a stage where you have concluded as an astrologer that this guy has a poor sun and it has to be remedied, then only go for it. Do not open up your charts and see this percentage strength here. Okay, it is less, because in YouTube videos, people must have said, okay, 100% is bad, so you have to do remedy for it. If this was so easy, I again repeat the same sentence. PVR would have said, you have to do a remedy here is what, there is enough space available here. You would have written that here. Okay, it means that it is not right if it is not written here. Okay, then why did he mention these things? Because you may be looking at celebrity charts as well. So celebrity charts need these yogas. This is what I have interpreted. Maybe I don't know if he has different ideas for it. This is what I have understood, because they're not working. I have seen people with 85% strength and they still are confident enough. Everything is going right in life for them. And some have 150% strength of sun and they still have some of the other problems. So they have high ego on them and they have to do some remedies for it. So do not generalize using a mathematical thing or a software or anything. A software can only help you in making these charts for you. Okay, these charts, yes, they are right using the software. Do not make any of the predictions, etc., using any of these, any of these things written here. You cannot generalize them; they don't work. Good. Anybody else has any questions?
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. All right. Thank you so much. Wishing you all a happy Sankranti, Bhogi or Lori. Thank you so much for joining. Bye-bye. Good night.
I said thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.